Welcome to Down in the Den, another stellar episode. I hope you guys are having a great evening. Thank you so much for watching. It's your host and your man, your boy Mars, aka Marlon Beardo, the Bearded Weirdo, the Stella Rosa Casanova, the curator of culture, and the Shud Knight of this podcast game. And we're back with another special guest. I want to give a warm Down in the Den welcome. She's an entrepreneur, she's an artist, she's a DJ. I'm sure she's got a 50 more hats that she's wearing that I'm probably missing. But I want to welcome Shunda K. Shunda, how are you doing this evening?
Thank you so much. All is well. Thank you. I'm honored to be on your show. I really appreciate the love.
Absolutely. That's what we're all about. D.E.N is an acronym for Dreams and Nightmares. And when we started this path 6 years ago, we really just wanted to highlight the artists, the creatives, the writers, the producers, the singers, the DJs, the people that really make life. I personally believe art makes life worth living. It's the thing that separates us from the gorillas, the cavemen, the whatever. It's art. It's what separates. It can make us feel. It can make us cry. It can make us laugh. It can make us dance. It's super powerful. So giving a highlight to people like yourself is what we do, and I'm so happy to have you on.
Thank you so much. I agree with you. We make the world go round, man.
Make the world go around. I couldn't go a day without it. So we start every single interview the same question. There's two things that were super important to me growing up. Number one was music, and number two was comic books. You would see me with my headphones on, and you would see reading the comic book. And one thing that I noticed between artists and your superheroes, they always have an origin story. They always have something that was pivotal. Maybe it's their hometown, maybe it's experience, maybe it's seeing another artist that inspired them, but it's some type of origin story that triggered something in their brain that said, I want to go on this path of being a creative. So for you, what is your origin story? What made you inspired to get into music, get into being a creative?
Well, for me, I would say that it's destiny, it's purpose. There were so many artists that I loved growing up, that I mimicked, that I, would change their words around in their songs and make them my own, and so that's how I kind of started learning how to create music, is by changing the words around. Like one of my favorites as a little girl was the Johnny Gill, My. So, he's singing to a female, but my cousin and I, we flipped it around to speak to a boy and changed the feminine attributes to masculine. And so that was the beginning, of and I was young. I had to be about, I say 9-10 years old. And so, just getting from the R&B, we video soul, we tuned in to be seen and get ready for school. We locked in. And so from there, I started getting into rap. I loved Snoop and Dre, Outkast, MJG and 8 Ball. I'm from itty bitty Plant City, Florida. So I'm a country girl. Those boys, they, from the backwoods, so I could relate. And so the same thing with their music, switching words out where they mentioning their name. I'm figuring out how to put my name in there and still stay on time with what they spitting, And so from there, I formed a group with two guys from Plant City. And we used to, back in the days, the karaoke was big. If you had a karaoke, you was doing big. So for sure, we would sit on my grandmother's porch and write music and rap, private stocks and dreadlocks. Man, we was drinking the private stocks back then. I don't know if you're familiar with those, but it had to be the strongest beer in the world. And so, we was definitely channeling some magical things, magical opportunities for ourselves. And from there, I met up with a couple ladies. My group is called Your Majesty, and we were able to create a lot of music and signed a record deal with Domino Records in London back in 2008. And so I've been able to see the world. I've performed at some of the biggest festivals in the world, biggest clubs in the world. I've been there. And so now it's like, when I talk about purpose and destiny, I walked away from the industry when I learned about the wicked side of it.
Mm.
So I had to self reflect and self check, like, well, this isn't my path. And so now that I feel learned the whole truth, I'm ready to re enter and do things my way, and so right now with my music, it's all about self love, self empowering, taking your power back, doing things the way that you want to do them, the way that makes you happy. And so for me, I'm on this self love journey. I'm focusing on myself. I'm locked into what I want to achieve. And the music is very important, especially when you are looking to uplift the people, to educate, to motivate. I mean, you see the energy that's going on in the world today. So for me, I take my gifts very serious when it comes to songwriting and being able to put these hits together, baby. And so, we're encouraging, we're educating, we're inspiring, we're motivating, all while you're dancing and you're having a good time. We're putting the two together. And so right now, what we're working on is a tour with my group, Your Majesty. We're looking to tour the U.S. And Canada, and just we're gonna set it off here in the States first, and then it's time to do what we did before. We're being given a clean slate to do it all over again, the way that we want to do it this time instead of being a slave to the industry.
And that's so beautiful, and that's why artists like yourself are perfect for this show, because this show is really all about giving people insight. If you're thinking about entering this industry and sharing your gift with the world, we need to know all elements, because knowledge, of course, it seems cliche, but
Mhm.
it most certainly it
Yeah,
gives the artist a power to have independence, power to be able to make a living, power to have their freedom to own their art. And there's so many different
that's right.
ways. So I love that, and going out
Yes.
recognizing. Some people don't recognize until it's too late, and I think it's prevalent. And what we're seeing in the news is that, oh wow, this industry is
Yes.
everything that it was rumored to be and more. So we
You better know it.
yeah, it's very prevalent. I think that's one thing myself. You know, I started off as an artist, and then it got to a point where I had to take a look back and say, is this a path that ultimately I want to be happy? Is this a path that's going to make me happy? And I chose the
Mhm.
more traditional route. And then it all came full circle when technology and things of that
For sure.
nature caught up to my,
That's right.
ambitions. And, we
Yes.
started to build a small media empire, and I've never been
Beautiful.
happier. So now is the time, regardless of age, regardless of gender, regardless of whatever. There's so many
Ooh,
out there that you can
I'm
really
telling
just do whatever you want to build your
you. That's
community.
right.
So I love it. That's
Yeah.
what it's about.
True.
Now, you mentioned your experience with your group, Your Majesty, which is awesome, and reuniting. And then you've also expanded and evolved. Whenever we get artists, I like to do my research and listen to everything they're doing as much as I can. And so I was listening to your I love EDM. Our closing, we always say peace, love, unity, respect, which is the play from the Plur lifestyle. I go all to the festivals and everything like
Yeah.
that. And your
Yes.
DJ slow jam persona.
Hmm.
I like to talk a little bit about that. You introduced that. What inspired that evolution, and how does that differ from your work as Shunda K?
Well, although I'm an MC, I'm a lyricist. My passion is R&B, and so I love slow jams, and so that's where the DJ slow jam comes from. But of course, my foundation is even R&B, from back in the days. But we were given a really big opportunity when we met when the three of us came together, Your Majesty, and we met a producer from London. He was living in Tampa, Florida. And so he was the one who introduced us to EDM. And like the name of their production was Out There Productions. And so some of the beats and stuff that he would give us was so crazy, but we had no choice but to learn how to spit over them because nobody was
Yeah.
giving us no beats back then.
Right.
So, we created a new genre that we coined sonic hip hop, and I credit Your Majesty to even opening up the doors to other hip hop artists to be able to hear different, to where now, back then, we didn't see too many rappers or, Black artists on EDM.
Right.
You just really, I mean, you may have, once in a lifetime type thing, but now it's so prevalent. And I know for a fact that Your Majesty paved the way. I mean, we showed them how to do it. And so everybody doing it now, man. Shouts out to Your Majesty, shouts out to everybody for doing you, being your authentic self, staying in your lane and making your life great. Like, so that's pretty much when it comes to DJ Slow Jam. I want to be able to, and I said, while I'm performing, I would love to be able to go back and forth between front and center and then just lay back on the decks, got the crowd crunk. I also said, when I turn 100 years old, I'll still be able to DJ. I might not be able to, work the stage, but at least I could be back there DJing. So this is something I need to go into. Plus, it's a passion. It's something that I've been wanting to do. And
It's
so
a different type of energy, and controlling a party, it's a high on its own. I tell people I don't do drugs, but MC it or telling your story or whatever, and having people, it's a high to it. It's a high to it. So it's something that's mutual energy exchange, and
that's right.
I used to, I always tell people, especially people of color, expand your ear, because you are missing out of a lot of things because they're stereotypically telling you shouldn't listen to this or this isn't for you. When in reality, you created this, from rock to country.
When you up on game, baby, you know the whole truth.
Oh, of course, that's what it's about. We entertain, we educate, we do a little bit of both.
That's
so I love that. For you, I love that. For us as a people, just being able to, I don't believe in genres. I think genre is another false barrier. I just say there's good music and bad music. It's really that simple. It's really that simple. So
that's true. Yeah.
I love that. Now, speaking of energy exchange, live performance. You have two elements, as you mentioned. You love to be in front of the mic, but then you also love to be behind those booths, controlling the crowd.
Mm-hmm.
If you have to pick, and thank God you don't have to, but if you have a pick, which element to you brings you the most joy? Is it being with the mic in your hand, rocking the crowd, or on the turntables?
It would be rocking the mic because it's more personal. You're up in their face. I'm right in your face. And also just being able to open up that space. A DJ, you could say, "Oh, hey, come get on the stage. Y'all come get on." But when you're an artist performing and you invite the people to come up on the stage and dance and be free while you killing the show, they feel honored, and it's like, we're not any better than you. You can do what you're good at too. And so that's the type of energy that we bring. And that's the kind of impact that we have had on people, where we have just finished a party show. We talking about rubbing on your monkey, kryptonite, club action. And we got people coming up to us after the show in tears, just like, wow, y'all really inspire me. And it's like, really, we wasn't really doing any conscious music or anything, but it's just, being an example for people. And I think the fact that I am a Black woman, or I want to say melanated, female, that has really, because you know what the stereotype is for melanated females, and so for other races, because the majority of our fan base is others that are not melanated per se. So that really, and then for the ones who are, because we have a mixed crowd. There are, melanated people that love us as well, but the majority of the fan base has been non-melanated individuals. And so it just really did something for us to see the type of impact that we have all over the world, where we're breaking all kind of barriers. It was no racism, it was no sexism, it was none of that. It was just all love. And so that was great. We brought the people together, no matter how they felt, because honestly, we would do some shows. We would open up for artists that are metal or hard rock, and so when we're standing in front of their fans opening their shows, these people looking at us like, what the hell are you doing?
What's going on?
Hey, but that second, third song, all of that's out the door. They bringing us shots from the bar. It's like, they buying merchandise, baby. It's whatever. So to see that type of power that we had, it's like, okay, now it's time to get back out, do what you love, make a living doing what you love, and touching the lives of the people. So that's where we are.
That's the dream. I love it. I love it. I really do. Now, I'm a sucker for things, be it a good book, a movie, album, whatever. I'm a sucker for a good theme. That's the hook for me. And I'm going through your discography, and you had a recent album of The Return of the Dragon, uh, and slash Rise of the Divine Feminine. And I'm listening to it, the themes I'm hearing spirituality, I'm hearing empowerment. Can you share a little bit of inspiration behind that project?
Indeed. So I had become homeless. And so I was living in a tent on a deserted beach for 2 years. And so I was face to face with God, because I believe that God is a dragon. I believe she's the great mother dragon, kind of like with the Asians. That's what I've come to learn. And I believe that God dwells in nature and not in things made with the hands of man, women, whoever. And so my experience being out there, I did some mushroom ceremonies, baby. I'm seeing the dragons, and I'm healing, I'm going. And so through all of those revelations, that's where that come from. And also when it comes to the feminine energy, it has been so suppressed and depressed. And so we look at the, condition that the earth is in, and it's because there is no balance. And so with the rise of the divine feminine energy, we are the nurturers. We are the mothers of civilizations. And so I feel like it is up to us to bring forth change in the earth. And that's pretty much what that album is, calling everybody to take your places. And it's going to first start with you. I learned that self-love is the highest vibration. It's the greatest love of all. And so when people don't love themselves, we see where it gets us as a collective and where it gets them. And so the majority of the world is not on a vibration of love, more or less self-love. And it's a very hard journey. And so living on that beach, being homeless, I didn't have running water, I didn't have electricity. And so it was a test of my self-love. Like, if you want to eat today, you're going to have to go gather some wood and cook your food. If you want clean clothes, you're going to have to get those 5-gallon buckets, take it out there to that ocean. You got water. So God didn't give me an excuse to why I couldn't, even though I didn't have it the way I wanted it, I still had food, water, and shelter. And I needed to be grateful for that, because it could have been worse.
Absolutely.
And so that right there, I was recording this album during that time, and I didn't feel homeless or any of that. I felt like I was living a dream, like a dream that I've always had to live on the beach had come true. I just didn't know I was going to be homeless, when a dream came true. And so I learned how, when the scriptures say that our thoughts are not God's thoughts and our ways are not the ways of God. And so, we can look at certain things and it's all about perspective. If I would have had a negative attitude and been ungrateful for that food, water, and shelter, which is really all you need
That's all
to
you
have
need.
a happy life, less is really more. Then it could have been a total different turnout. I wouldn't be talking to you today. I would have been broke, busted, and disgusted. Woe is me, And so when I got on my spiritual journey, I learned that things happen to put us where we need to be, not necessarily that we're being punished. If you're doing right, So for me, I'm doing right. And sometimes I was kind of like, well, what's going on with y'all? I'm talking, I mean, I deal with my ancestors, my spirit team, the ascended masters, my angels, the great mother. And so, sometimes I did look a little like, but I had to get myself out of that negative energy and have something to be grateful for. I got food. I got a tent that ain't got no holes in it. When it's storming out here, I'm not getting wet. Baby, you eating good. You got your food stamps, So that right there is how
Power,
I was birthed.
the power of perspective is so credible. I had a artist that I interviewed, and he said something profound that stuck in my head. And he said, and I don't want to misquote it, but if you change from "I have to "I get to," just that little switch in perspective,
Mm-hmm.
it's so huge. And
It is.
that is a profound story, and it's powerful, powerful,
Yes.
and it made for some incredible art and
Mhm.
inspiration.
But
That's
that's when we birth the best. Art is through
yeah,
hurt and pain and
yeah,
suffering, or so
yeah,
what we perceive. And so sometimes I was feeling a little pain and felt like I was suffering, but that's when you birth. I mean, that's when you grow out of all of those things, pain and suffering. You learn lessons through pain and suffering. you know and so as you continue to grow and love on yourself and do make decisions that's best for you, you'll look back on it, and like I'm looking back on it, like it was necessary, because now I have strong boundaries. I know how to say no. I know how not to let nobody drain my energy and bring their mess to me. I'm not here to save nobody. I'll be an example, but it's not my responsibility to take on your burdens. It's not your responsibility to take on mine, baby. Everybody gonna stand 10 toes down. Your 10, my 10. We gonna put in work so that we can get out of it what we desire. You're gonna get out of life what you put into it.
yeah.
And so I don't mind starting over. I'll start over as many times as I need to, as long as it's a solid foundation and I'm going in the right direction. Because one thing I'm not going to do is sell my soul for silver and gold with gifts, because these gifts come from God.
Right.
So you're not going to tell me who I can and can't be in this earth that God created, that I get to share God's power. When you love God and you're faithful to God, you get to share in the power and the glory of God. So that's why I stand firm. I walk in self-love and I walk in power. I know who I am and I
It's,
love myself.
it's literally spiritual physical fitness, and I love it. You can't, you want that summer body. You got to go to the gym and work out, and it's the same thing. Spirit, and it hurts. No one goes to the gym and says that feels good. Nobody really wants to go to the gym. But if you want the end results, you're gonna have to pick up those dumbbells. You're gonna have to get on that treadmill. You're gonna have to eat right. You're gonna
Yeah.
have discipline, and it's the
Hmm.
same thing spiritually. So
Yes. And
that's
that's self-love,
and that's self love,
Yes, it
discipline,
is.
and self love go hand in hand.
That's right.
Now you create music, you collaborate with other artists, you DJ, you're entrepreneur. You I mentioned you wear a lot of hats. With your involvement in the independent scene, how is working with the independent label now shaped and really relaunch your career in this time? after going through the mainstream and now going the independent route, because we're really big on people being able to do this independently without having to sell and literally sign a bad deal that is going to make your dream become enslavement. So how's that been for you in this new phase in your career?
Well, it takes longer because I've already did it. I signed with the label. I signed with Your Majesty. I signed with Shunda K, and then I started my own label. And so when you're doing it totally independent, it just takes a little longer. But that's okay, because as long as you're diligent, you're going to get out of it what you put into it. And so for me, now we are, Your Majesty is reuniting. Shonda K, I always do, have solo material that I release all the time. But now, Your Majesty is reuniting. So we are basically, going to get this tour going and take it over again. Take it over again. It's been a long time since we have stepped on the scene. I walked away from the industry. Your Majesty had just got back on with management out of Australia. We had a Mexico tour. They're going to be paying us $30,000 for 4 shows. I went on a fast for the truth. I learned what goes on in the industry. So I had to pull out. But now that I understand how things go, I understand the formula to success in the music industry. It's a formula. Like even how I met you, you know what I'm saying? Shouts out to Dom. He hooked it up. And so without publicity, if you're an independent artist, you need marketing.
Absolutely.
You're going to need, yes, you need opportunities like these, because it's you, Sean, who helped me make it big, And so the more interviews you're doing, the more opportunities you get to speak and be promoted by podcasts, blogs, magazines, newspapers. That's going to create a buzz. And once that buzz is created, promoters will be likely to book you because they're gonna, you know what I'm saying? So that is the end goal, is a buzz. Because when you popping and you hot, everybody wants you. Absolutely. But the way to get to it is through marketing. Absolutely. It don't matter what you're doing. If you have somebody pushing your product, because, as an artist, you're creating a product, just like any other business. So you need marketing for that product, and that marketing is going to open up all kind of doors for you. And so once you have the marketing, for me, what I'm doing, Sean, we got the marketing in place, and I also have all of the contacts for promoters, clubs, and talent buyers, college talent buyers in the US. So I sent out a blast today of 500 promoters, talent bookers, and we're already getting responses. So, I have the tools, so with me, I'm all about helping artists. I pay it forward. I'm all about helping you out to get to where you want to go, because I don't believe in compromising integrity. And I know that one of my roles in the industry as a whole is going to be to create a safe space for artists to come and be great without any compromising of any kind, where they can just be free. It's going to be like heaven on earth, straight up.
I love it. I love it. That is what we're all about.
Yes.
And in the community. And, I see so many people and it blows my mind charging people for interviews and things of that nature. And I'm like, that's not your goal. There's so many other ways for you to make revenue than to hit
Hmm.
artists over the head. They're the talent.
Yes,
They're the talent. They're doing you the favor. And that's one thing we've never done, we never will. It's all about just expanding that community and our
that's
day.
beautiful.
And we are aligned with that vision. I love it. I can't
Beautiful.
I can't wait to see what you guys do. You guys
Yeah.
are reunited like Voltron. For those '80s babies who know what Voltron is, look it up. You guys are reunited. You're back. You're bigger than
Oh,
ever,
you
sharper,
know, yes.
wiser, ready to take over. I believe you're gonna rock and roll. You're gonna take over. So
Yes.
it
And
is.
I want to say too, for anybody that's watching or any artist that if you have a buzz, holla at me so I can help book you a tour. We take 10% on the back end. That's standard in the industry. And
It's
what you and
extremely
just yes, and piggybacking on what you said about, you know, basically being a slave. That's the end. People charging for interviews. When we used to play these big festivals, we would be, in a space where an artist space, and we basically in line, like standing in line like it's a soup kitchen.
yeah,
But we're the artists. We're the
right.
ones that these people are paying hundreds of dollars to come see. But we been treated worse than animals. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And so, yeah, we gonna change it all up, man. I'm here with you, and I'm here for you. So I got you
absolutely.
on the booking.
It's a new wave. So please let the people know, because it's very important they find you on social media. Let the people know exactly where they can find you on social media.
Okay, well, we are on Instagram at official_Shunda K. Instagram, Your Majesty, FORLIFE, Your Majesty for Life. If you want to email me, you can email me at booking@gmeqa, GMEQCA.com. GMEQA is an acronym. It stands for God's and Man's Eternal Quest to Conquer All. And so, y'all hit me up. My website where you can download my free mixtape is 50 mixes. Me and the ancestors went ham in turkey. That's shundak.com, SHUNDAK.com. So y'all holler back. We got you covered when it comes to, we was talking about the wisdom, the knowledge, the understanding of the business. That is key and essential. Don't just be finding anything because people promising you something.
Oh
So,
yeah,
and you have to be discerning, because I believe that, being a part of this industry, and not necessarily that we're trying to be a part of the industry, but the music business is spiritual warfare.
yeah.
And so you have to know who to deal with, who not to deal with, how to move, if you want to have longevity. So, yeah.
Being in the entertainment industry, it is a jungle, and those decisions can literally be life or death. So it's very important that the artists, the creatives, the producers, the bookers, everybody that's has a hand in making this industry go around, the ones with integrity, you got to partner. You got a partner, because it's safer with many when those wolves are out there. So I appreciate what you're doing for yourself, for
Yes,
other artists, being a role model, dropping those gems and sharing it. We appreciate it.
for
We want to
sure.
do a giveaway. So you know what we asked you to do? The very first person to comment the giveaway word, which is for this episode, is going to be private stock.
Ooh,
The
stop.
very first person on YouTube that types that in there, you're gonna get a prize. We're gonna get you some, something from Shonda K, because we like to pay it forward and support her and
That's
her business. So ticket to a show. We'll find something from the artist that we're gonna get you, courtesy of us at Down and Den. So the first person to give away word, it's right there. If you know, you know. So
no.
we once again, I just want to thank you. It's been a pleasure. I could do this all day. I want to thank you for sharing your time. Thank you for sharing your
Thank you.
experiences, sharing your
Yes,
knowledge. Each one teach one. That's what we do. So I want to appreciate that. Say I appreciate you, and we
thank
support what
you.
you're doing. And thank you so much for coming in. And guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We
Yes.
appreciate you supporting the show 6 years, and this is our final season. But Mars Media isn't going anywhere. We're just evolving, and I just want to thank the D.E.N community. I want y'all to do what you always do: like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you want to do. Let us know what you feel about this episode, and I mean, and all the gems. And please give her a follow on social media and
Yes.
support all of her upcoming endeavors. She's super talented. We've been batting 1,000 with the artists that we're presenting. And of course, you can find us always at Down and Den on YouTube. Catch all our old episodes, new episodes dropping every Wednesday. And as we end every episode, peace, love, unity, and respect. Deuces.